Hello, welcome to WD18, the Watford fan channel. Welcome to another live stream with myself, Jacob Culshaw, Charlie Zazzera, Sam Ucko, talking all things Watford 3, Birmingham City 0. We're going to touch on the QPR disaster class as well. I think Sam had his initial reaction at Euston Station, and I think it goes without saying, I don't know if you were like this, Charlie, but I really did relate to Sam's match reaction on Saturday. That kind of just feeling really downbeat about the whole thing, but it was uplifting yesterday. Sam, you went to the game. You did mention how empty it was, and I just want to acknowledge that straight away. And I saw it from where I was watching as well. Surprised that it was. Do you think fans are kind of making their voices heard through not going to the game? Do you think there was anything in that?
I think there's obviously the caveat to the empty seats is that it was a midweek game. It was a Tuesday night as well. I think that has to be in the conversation. But I think certainly when things are going well on the pitch, Vicarage Road is bouncing. All right, it doesn't always completely sell out, but there's certainly a lot more seats taken than it was last night. In the first 5 minutes, I looked around the stadium and I was thinking, it reminds me a lot of a League Cup tie. You know, when we play like MK Dons in like August and half the stadium's full, and it did feel a bit like that. The atmosphere is a bit flat, and whether it's a case of people consciously voting with their feet, I'm not sure, but I think certainly more people want to go to games when Watford are doing well, and I think that's a reflection of why it was so empty last night.
Tuesday night at home to Birmingham and Champions League on. You can't blame some people. But Charlie, before we get into the game, nice to see Troy back at the Vic, getting another great reception, and just before 3-0 up, 87th minute, he's in front, taking the applause in. Nice to see him back, wasn't it? I mean, we do miss him.
Yeah, we do miss him, and I think I've mentioned it a couple of times on the stream before. I think we've missed his leadership now for 2 or 3 years. But yeah, it was nice to see him yesterday. Nice to see him hanging out with Scott Duxbury in the director's box, and then I think the way the game panned out, and him having a stroll in front of the Rookery and in front of the Elton John, he knows what he was doing. And fair play to him, taking pictures, shaking hands. He's a club legend, and he deserves it. So yeah, good to see him.
100%. Great to see Troy back at the Vic. Thanks to everyone who's watching at the moment. Please do leave a like on the video if you enjoy all the sort of housekeeping. Comment down below your thoughts in the live chat if you're watching this back. Subscribe to WD18 as well. Thanks to Ian, Evenall. Great to see a better performance and result. Is it a coincidence, Sam, that this game is also the first with Sarr missing? Discuss maybe the way forward. Now, bit punchy of a start if I'm going to chuck that straight over to Sam. So we'll get back to that, Ian. We will discuss the Sarr effect and whether we will play better with or without him. But Sam, just your initial thoughts. 3-0 win, clean sheet, at home. Keenan Davis gets his first goal since October. Don't think it could have gone much better on paper, could it?
I'm delighted with it. At this stage in the season, I think we all know performances haven't been good this season, so it's just about picking up the results. If we've got any chance of making the playoffs, I don't care if it's 10 or 9 now, 1-0 wins with terrible performances. I'm happy that we've got into the playoffs. So I thought the first half was the best football we've played since Luton at home. I know a couple of people might debate that. Some people actually thought we were quite poor and it was more down to Birmingham being poor. I thought particularly the first 15 minutes of the second half, we were terrible. I thought it was arguably worse than QPR, that first 15 minutes of the second half. And then the last half an hour, I think we were able to really take control of the game and seal it with a goal for Britt Assombalonga as well. Great to see him on the score sheet as well. So I'm always going to be happy with a Watford win. Performance-wise, still a long way to go. But I think we saw glimpses in the first half that we could be on the right track.
Charlie, we were just discussing it off air and you watched some of the game back about how good Watford actually were. And now you've reflected on it. You've had a bit of time and you've kind of taken the heat out of the situation. How well, simply, did Watford play, in your opinion?
In the first half, I'd say very well. I reckon we raised our levels from QPR probably 5-6 times. It was good. There was a lot of pace in our passing, quick decisions. There was midfield rotations, which I haven't seen for ages. You've seen Loser moving about. Bakuna, who I thought was outstanding. It did make me laugh. Sam's If you check out our matchday TikTok, Sam's reaction when Bacuna was in the lineup.
I'm so happy you kept that in. I'm so happy.
But he turned into prime Zidane. Kone's energy getting forward was great. So I'm really happy with that midfield three. I thought it looked really good. I thought our wing backs were really good, which is essential for our system. And Gakia, who I think he was blowing second half, but first half getting in some great positions, like goal scoring positions, getting back and forth. He obviously was about 3 inches away from an absolute screamer, which would have been nice. Ken was great defensively, going forward, always a threat. Wesley Hoot was the overlapping centre-back. He was the first one who we saw going forward, which we thought would be a bit more Porteous, but Wesley Hoot was great, I thought, going forward, giving an outlet. Bacuna kept sitting in to cover him. And then I thought Keenan was strong, really good with the ball up front. And I think Zhao's position has been better in recent weeks, where although he does drop deep and get involved, which is good because it draws a centre-back out, they don't know where to go with him, but he's still getting in positions around their box where he's deadly. I think if Kone would have scored his goal, there was a really nice 1-2 flick between João Pedro Sema, moved on, just knocked it to Kone, and Kone was inches wide. That would have been a beautiful goal. So first half, I thought we were class, to be honest.
Yeah, Sam, I think Charlie's pretty much hit the nail on the head there in terms of how much you read into this Watford performance. But I think the thing for me watching it was actually, as the main man, Zazzera, mentioned, the midfield combinations. Actually a bit of structure, a bit of identity to the way we wanted to play. I mean, it feels a little bit odd. I can't remember the last time we felt that. And Sam, I know we mentioned it on previous streams under Bilic, but for me, when I watched his teams, I always felt that we were adapting to the opposition, whereas it felt, at least last night, we actually had a game plan for how we wanted for us to play first, and then we'll adapt to Birmingham second, because ultimately we do have the individuals who can win games, right? So what aspects of the performance did you notice that Wilder had an effect on? Was it just the midfield? Were there other areas that you thought there was a bit of a change?
Yeah, Charlie mentioned his name there, but I held my hands up and I got it wrong about Leandro Bacuna yesterday. I'm delighted he proved me wrong. I don't think I was the only Watford fan who had concerns when I saw his name in the starting 11. But
when the starting 11 came out, if you look at the replies, it was everyone just moaning about Bacuna. So I wanted to give him a shout out. Yeah,
of course. So I was delighted he proved me wrong, and he was excellent. I think the most pleasing thing about the performance was me. It wasn't just the midfield or any specific area. It was the whole thing about everyone just looked a lot more comfortable in the system. It wasn't a case of square pegs in round holes. Obviously, João Pedro, I don't think really had a defined position yesterday. I think he was just told to flow. But everyone just looked a lot happier. And I think going back to that very first question about Ismaila Sarr, I'm not saying that because Ismaila Sarr wasn't in the team, we performed better. But everyone was able to play in their natural positions. We weren't shoehorning players into the team by playing Sarr up front or at right back where he's not comfortable. But Keenan Davis had an excellent game because I think he was the main man up top. Imran Louza, that was, I think, probably the best we've seen from him in absolutely ages. I think the centre-backs were brilliant yesterday as well, because I just think maybe the three at the back suits the team a lot better. I'm not sure. But I just think on the whole, everyone looked a lot more comfortable. There wasn't really any square pegs in round holes, and for that, I think we won the game.
Sorry, mate. Just one thing that was in my head in terms of like the difference, especially under Slav. I felt we were so predictable in that 4-2-3. Everyone was static in that position. Chowdhury or Louza or Kembe got the ball, and everyone was just set in their position. Yesterday, I felt like there was a lot more options for every player, whether it was Ngakia overlapping, whether Wesley Hoot wanted to switch out wide, whether Zhao was coming deep. So there was
Ismail Kone was popping up all over the place. On the right, he was playing the furthest man forward at one point as well. It was brilliant.
100%. I mean, look at some of the comments here. So Laura, I think this is a really good point. Birmingham were poor. We do have to acknowledge that they have been pretty poor overall this season if we're looking at it objectively. But this is a great point. We have failed to beat poor teams several times this season against teams that have come and set up to frustrate us. And I think that's particularly noticeable. The first 15 minutes was the intensity. And Chris Wilder mentioned it in his post-match thoughts about how it's on the players to galvanise the support and actually get behind the team early doors. Charlie, I wanted to mention, just to complete your topic, just come to my head, Keenan Davis. Now, Sam mentioned him there. What a finish that is for that second goal. It's an absolutely superb finish. A trademark Davis finish in my head. When I think of him, I think on the shoulder. I think bullying his way past the defender, and then that strike as well. Fantastic. I've got a theory, mate, that he's got something with that away end, because we saw with Luton it's that one, with Birmingham it's that one. But his overall performance, it seems like Wilder had a few words with him in the week to say, like, look, be confident in your ability. There was an element, I thought, against QPR where, let's be honest, he was poor, kind of drifting in and out of the games. Sometimes you feel like he I think he forgets sometimes how good he can be, really. I think it might be a confidence thing with him. But just on his performance, what did you make of it? I know you're a big fan.
Yeah, no, I thought it was great. I think confidence, like you said, plays a huge part. I think some players I think you hear like Pep talking about players like Phil Foden and Haaland, like if they miss a chance, the best skill to have is just forget about it within seconds. And I think maybe Davis' confidence is a big part of his game. But I thought yesterday he was releasing the ball a lot quicker, which we saw for Loser's goal, released out to Ken, who put a brilliant ball in. And like you said, that goal is exactly what I want to see from Keenan Davis. When you see a Keenan Davis running full pelt at you as a defender, it's not what you want, is it? He can go left or right, and he gets down, he goes straight, and then he just put left and banged it. And yeah, he does love that away end. But Keenan, if you're watching, one at the Rookery would be nice.
Sam, on the other goals, Imran Loser back on the score sheet. Lovely bit of work with Ken Sema. Actually, I think it was only when I watched it back how good that finish is from Loser on his weaker foot, and actually that technique. And I think anyone who knows when you're playing football, kind of guiding it, particularly with your weaker foot, is such a tough skill. Great goal, first off. But actually, that combination was really, really nice. And just his overall performance, Loser, because it felt like he struggled to get into the game at QPR. I know we keep referencing it to that. But that midfield three is where I want to touch on, because Bakuna, Kone, Loser, and I think Kone was probably the pick out the lot, don't you think? For that,
yeah, excellent.
Yeah,
excellent. But on Imran Loser, first of all, with the goal, as you say, it was sort of guiding it in. It reminds me a bit as well of his goal against Norwich earlier in the season. I know he missed the penalty, but it was also sort of the same thing. Made that run into the box and guided it past the goalkeeper. What was good to see as well was midfielders committing to get into the box as well, to try and create opportunities, which we haven't really seen recently. But on Imran Loser, I think since he's come back from injury, I don't think he's really hit the heights that we know he can. I thought he was really poor at QPR. I thought he was one of our weaker players on the pitch, to be honest with you. I thought he wasn't getting in good positions, was hiding away a bit, I thought. But yesterday was the opposite. He was dropping deep, getting the ball, bringing it forward, finding himself in good positions. And I think there is a question there that if we had a fully fit, I know obviously it's if, buts and maybes, injuries are part of football. But as poor as Watford have been this season, I think there's elements we've also been incredibly unlucky with injuries, because if we had a fully fit and firing Imran Loser, João Pedro, Sarr, Davis all season, I think we'd probably be a bit higher up the table. Maybe Slaven Bilic would still be in a job as well. Who knows? But it was great to see Imran Loser back and fully firing yesterday.
Do you think that's our best performance with a three at the back this season? Because we started under Rob, and I was trying to think about if we played better, Charlie, under him in a three. Because obviously we have tinkered this season, but can you remember a better performance with that three at the back? I couldn't really think of it.
I know it's fluid. I mean, the Rob era feels like 10 years ago to me. Like, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
The only thing I really remember was the Blackburn game and then it was Sunderland, wasn't it, before he went. I think one thing I wanted to mention that kind of Sam touched on with Loser, I found fascinating the balance of the midfield, because when we spoke on that preview with the Sheffield United and Middlesbrough guys, obviously go back and check that out if you want to see some more Chris Wilder content. But I thought that Loser would be the number 6, like Ollie Norwood dictating, but Bakuna played that role yesterday, and Loser was on the left, which allowed Loser to get forward a lot more. He was making a lot more direct runs. And like Sam said, he was getting in the box. And I think we're not blessed with good quality in the final third. And I think Loser's up there. He's already scored 3 goals this season where he hasn't played that much. So I found his positioning really interesting. He was one of the 8s on the left side, combining well with all of them. Whereas Bakuna, who I thought and I don't know, it'd be interesting if Chowdhury comes into it. But I thought we'd have someone a bit more trying to dictate tempo. But to be fair, Bakuna done excellently. He got, what did he have, 84% pass completion yesterday, and just having Kone and Loser was great. What do you think? I think Chowdhury's out for the next game, Jacob, but how do you think that midfield looks when he comes back? And one thing I wanted to touch on, and we might talk about QPR, is we got absolutely bullied that day, but it was, well, Sam might have a better view because I was in the lower tier, and Jacob, if you watched it, but we played with a midfield two of Chowdhury and Loser in a 3-4-3, and they had 3 or 4 people in the middle, and they absolutely bullied us on every second ball, and those two couldn't get touched. So having that free midfield helped us. But when Chowdhury's back, what do you reckon?
Oh, I wouldn't personally. I don't think you play Chowdhury as the deeper. I think you play him in one of the 8s if you're going to play him. And I think if it was me, I don't think the problem I find with Chowdhury in that deeper role is he blocks the centre backs passing lanes. If you actually watch him, he drops so deep because it's not his natural position. I think Chowdhury's best position is when he's box to box and breaking up play. And I think that's when he's a bit further forward. In terms of Loser, what I think people forget is actually he plays further forward for Morocco. His natural position is further forward. And I think we converted him into a 6 because of Hughes. And I don't think that's his actual natural position at all, which is very Watford. And I don't think it's any coincidence that the further up he is, the better positions he's getting in, and the more influence he's having on the game. And as you say, Charlie, the fact he's already scored 3 goals this season, and he hasn't really played a lot at all, and as much as he would have expected. But in terms of just going back to that midfield, Sam, where would you stand on it? Because it did seem Bakuna excelled in that role particularly. And I have to say, I was the same. Well, I don't know if you expected it, Charlie, but I wasn't expecting him to be in that role yesterday. But he did really well.
Bakuna was excellent, and if he keeps that up against Wigan, he stays in the team for me.
So does Chowdhury come back in?
Not if Bakuna carries on this like he did yesterday, because also I think Chowdhury gets suspended. Players have to earn their way back in the team on merit, and I think it's incredibly harsh on Bakuna if you drop him based on particularly yesterday's performance, and if he performs the same against Wigan as well. I know Luton are a level up in terms of position, but I think you're right, Jake. But I think sometimes, particularly on the ball, I think Chowdhury is quite limited sometimes. And I think if we are going to have him, he has to play in that 8. Does that mean Imran Loser has to drop a bit deeper? Do we lose something from Imran Loser in that case? So for once, it's positive headaches for Chris Wilder in terms of how do we get the best out of our players here, and how do we maximise what we have? Because it is on paper we do have good midfielders, and it's just a case of getting the best out of all of them.
Just a word on Kone, Charlie. Great run for the final goal. Pretty much created himself, to be fair. But what have you made of him? Because it seems like yesterday was a really weird game to watch, actually, because it felt like for certain few players, it just clicked to an extent. And I don't want to read too much into the win in the sense that it is only one win. Chris Wilder is very keen to say, look, we move on to Wigan. We're not going to keep dwelling on this result. But it did feel like someone like Kone, it kind of felt like it clicked for him yesterday. Why do you think that was? Was it the role he was playing in? Was it actually the system he was playing in? What do you think? Why do you think he played so much better than we've seen from him? Because we've seen glimpses, haven't we? But that was the first sustained performance, I thought, from him anyway.
Just touching quickly back on Bakuna, one thing that I mentioned, and I said about the 84% pass, actually, but the reason I was so surprised was how good his vertical passing was. And I didn't expect that. So, like Sam said, if he plays like that against Wigan and he's someone who can screen the defence and pass forward really quickly to set up attacks, he's got to keep the shirt.
Carlos Sanchez vibes.
Yes, absolutely. Kone, I really love Kone. Really young player. He's coming for a decent fee. I think that number 8 role suits him because he's so dynamic, can get forward. I love how composed on the ball he is. That goal he set up for Britt, he almost did that in the first half, where he kind of got around his man on an overload and drove into the box, and he didn't find the final pass, and it got recycled again. I think Kone is one thing I'm taking out of the season and going, whatever happens this season, I'm looking forward to watching Ismaila Kone play for Watford next season.
100%. A very Pozzo signing, and also a player which I just hope to God we just don't do what we've done with Sarr and he goes through 10 managers and we then lose his role and he gets, and we don't stunt his development because
he's already on 2. He's already on 2 in 2 months.
No, not long to go. To be fair, even before the show, Sam was getting a call, but we thought he was getting the job. But moving on to someone who I know, Sam, I saw you tweet actually, I think, about Ismaila Sarr. And he's the big conundrum at the minute. What does Chris Wilder do with him? He didn't play yesterday. He played against QPR, was poor. So Jai says, how will Sarr fit in to the Wilder style of play? It feels like, Sam, that he's going to have to compromise the way he wants to play in order to fit him in. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, Sarr doesn't start for me now because where does he play without playing either Sarr out of position or losing a man in the midfield, which we saw yesterday. If you look at the big comparison between QPR and yesterday, Charlie, you referenced it. Having that extra man in midfield genuinely was unbelievable for us and changed the way we played completely. We were so much better. Bringing Ismaila Sarr back in, either you're taking someone out of the team between Davis and João Pedro, playing Sarr out of position down the middle. You're not doing that. Or you're playing Jeremy Ngakia. Or you're putting Sarr at right back over the likes of Ngakia, João Ferreira, Mario Gaspar. He doesn't fit in for me. I think a friend of the show, Gabe Sutton from the EFL debate, speaking to him earlier about it as well, he said that a fully fit Sarr coming off the bench is worrying for any championship team. He's an impact player, I think, for me between now and the end of the season. He's off in the summer anyway. I just think we have to stick with what suits Chris Wilder in terms of the shape and the players that we have available to us.
Do you think it's any coincidence, Charlie, that we did play better without him in the team? Do you think it's as simple as that?
I'd be fascinated to know if we played 3-4-3 against QPR to have him in the team as one of those free front attackers. There's been debate, can we convert him into a wing back? No chance for me. Like, out of possession, you have to be a 5, and you can't rely on Sarr having that defending role. I think Sam's got it spot on. I don't blame Sarr too much. We've talked about the managers. His performances haven't been great, but on this occasion now, we need to think, how are we going to win games and become the most cohesive team we are to create chances and win games? I tend to agree with Sam. I think that is without him. And then I think it's a great shout having him on the bench, bringing him on. And that's when, depending how the game is and who's performed on the day, I think that would be a great option to have on the bench. And we've talked about culture, earn the shirt. Same as if Bakuna has another stunning game against Wigan, Chowdhury's got to claim the shirt and have that winning mentality back, and people find positions and wanting to play. So, yeah, I think Sam got it spot on there.
I think it's just a fascinating one. I do agree with you two lads. I think we looked better without him in the team. I think that was probably for a number of reasons as well, with the change in midfield. I think that's obviously a massive part of it. But it's such a weird one, this Sarr debate, because I do really feel sorry for the guy, because it has just been, I mean, when he joined Watford, who would have expected him to be in this situation where he's been relegated twice, been kind of converted from, I mean, an inside winger with Javi to Kike being a striker, to Nigel Pearson being a right winger, to Cisco being a right winger in a 4-3. I mean, the list goes on. I think he's played every role, bar maybe goalkeeper. But the point is, it's just mad, Sam, that we've had this player who, I mean, let's be honest, had interest from Liverpool, from Newcastle, from Everton, from Villa. I mean, the list goes on, and he's just ended up not. It's now got to the point where I think we've all agreed, and technically he's probably one of our best players, that actually we're better off not in the team. Just wrapping your head when you actually think about that. Our record ever signing can't get in the team in the Championship in our best 11. Man.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and I think it's probably going to be the best for all parties if Sarr moves on in the summer. I think he's been through a nightmare spell with us, to be honest. Well, he has had some good moments, obviously, but no one foresaw how it would turn out for him when he joined us 3 or 4 years ago now. So I think it's probably the best for him to move on. I think probably the only disappointing thing about Sarr not being in the team for me is he would have had an opportunity to put his name in the shop window, perhaps get a couple of million on his price tag in the summer. But at the end of the day, promotion is more important for us, I think.
Lee, Sarr will be a good player in a good Premier League side. It's just not a fit for us at this moment in time. One other thing before we get, so we're basically going to predict the last 9 games of the season for Watford and where we finish. Charlie's got the points tally for what we actually need, and then we're going to predict the top 6 as well. So stay tuned, that's coming. One player I wanted to mention, just completely off topic. We've kind of done Birmingham. QPR, probably less said about it, the better. We all know it was absolutely terrible. But we did one bit of news that Charlotte's just reminded me. Thank you so much, Charlotte. Dan Gosling, really weird one this. So he's been released from his contract at Watford, but there is an option for him to renew his contract at some point if his injuries get better, etc. Charlotte says Gosling was doing a terrific job at right back before he got injured. With all the management changes, I can't see him get back in the squad or being offered a deal. There was another comment up here. Geordie, great to see you, mate. Gosling now released. Did he ever have a chance of coming back into the squad? Charlie, I'll throw this one over to you. Gosling released. Still potentially an offer on the table, but probably looks unlikely with his injury record. Cleverly, talks are ongoing about renewing his deal. Just your overall thoughts about those 2 players. What would you do if you were Gino Pozzo and that situation?
I think you'd have to look at the finances, because I know a lot of fans are calling for, we need a massive overhaul, get rid of all these players whose contracts are running out. We've got 5, 6 loan players. So if we get rid of all the contract players whose contracts running out, all the loan players, we're not going to have a lot left. I mean, I'm looking at Burnley, and although they, well, I don't know how legit their money was that they had, and they've been transferred, embargoed for it, but they bit the bullet and they had a huge overhaul, and they've been great because they've aligned everything. We're just talking about Sarr. Because we haven't had an overarching strategy in terms of what role he's going to play and how we're going to develop him, that's why he can't get into the team now. It's not really on him. So next season, in terms of Gosling and Cleverly, I'd have to look at the finances, because we need players next season. We can't just rip out everyone and go from there. Do you know what I mean? I'd like to think Cleverly's a good person to have around the change room, good leader. There might be value there. I know he's taking his coaching badges, so does he want to work with whoever's working and gain more experience and help where he can? Gosling, he's had some good moments for us. That Norwich away was huge in the promotion. I thought he was great in the back end of the Premier League season, probably one of our players of the season last year. Done that amazing interview. Did an amazing interview with Andrew French saying how it is, which endeared himself to the fans. And he turned into Cafu for parts this season. So I think he's been a good servant, but I think for him, maybe we should move on. But in terms of Cleverly, I'm not too sure. I just think next season, if we're being ballsy, depending on financial, there's going to be a lot to change. But we do need to field 11 players come August.
Absolutely. Charlotte says, we'd love to think Cleves has a role at the club. Can we afford to keep him, though, if he can't stay fit? Sam, your thoughts on both?
I think it's probably time to part ways with both of them, to be honest. I agree with Charlie that it's unrealistic to we're going to need to have players in the squad next season ultimately, and we are losing a lot of loan players. But I think I'd keep Tom Cleverley at the club if we can. I'm not sure if he'd retire, to be honest with you. I think he'd probably try and find one more move. But if he does decide to retire, I'd stick in with Charlie Daniels in the academy setup. Same goes for Dan Gosling, to be honest. I probably wouldn't renew him. Whether he'd get another deal somewhere, I'm not sure. But again, I wouldn't mind him having him in the coaching setup. I think he was. There was a really good picture of him sat on the bench with Charlie Daniels in the FA Youth Cup tie against Arsenal. So I think they've both got futures at the football club, just not with the playing squad.
Ian does make a great point for next season. In Watford time, next season is a lifetime away. There's going to be normal time, British summertime coming up, and then Watford time over pre-season, which is completely different. I've just remembered player ratings. We're going to rattle through them, and then we're going to do the last 9 games of the season. So I'm going to do the quick fire over to Charlie and Sam. Rating, reason why, bang. So Charlie, starting, Daniel Batman.
One of his best games I've seen in a long time. Really quick distribution. made, I could count 3 or 4 really good saves. I thought the only areas there was a ball they put in when Birmingham were on top and he kind of stood on his line. But overall, I'd say 8 out of 10. I thought he was good.
8 out of 10. Moving on. Ryan Porteous, Sam.
Porto! Sorry.
I'll give him a 7.5. Couple of passes were a bit loose and could improve, but clean sheet on the whole did well. Did try to get forward a couple of times. 7.5.
Did notice that passing with Porto needs to be a little bit cleaner. Fair point. Moving on. Craig Cathcart. Charlie.
Solid. Didn't do anything too bad. Didn't do anything great. I did see him getting forward at times and try and pass forward. But I'd give him a steady 6.
6. Wesley Hoot, Sam.
Excellent. 8 out of 10. Tried to get forward, really showed bravery. I saw a couple of people weren't too happy with his performance at QPR. I really liked it because I really like players showing that amount of courage going forward with the ball. I'll give Hoot an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. Moving on to the midfield. Actually, no, we'll do the wing backs. Jeremy Ngakia, Charlie, who I just want to add, I thought, there's a bit of a signature move for Ngakia where he kind of like drives inside. Have you noticed that? He does have it on lock, and it's like sometimes you just think, Jeremy, that final ball, and he obviously almost got a worldie. So, Charlie, and first game in a while, I'm trying to think his last game before that, actually. Last start was a while ago. But rating?
I think last time I saw him was maybe Blackburn away. I'm not sure, but I thought he was brilliant, and I think he's really staked a claim for that position. We've all been saying Ferreira, who I don't think was on the bench yesterday. I know Andrew French was saying he was doing warm-ups with Mateus Martin, so I don't think he was on the bench. But yeah, Ngakia, he was up and down. He was in like the final third lots of times, almost scored a worldie, some nice passes, always an outlook. I'd give him an 8. He needs some minutes because he was absolutely blowing.
He was, wasn't he? Bless you, man. I know. I was feeling we've all been there, Power League on a Friday night, and you're like, oh no, Mohammed's are going. I know this is not the same, but still.
But he did earn it. Do you know what I mean? He was up and down. So yeah, solid 8. Well done, Jezza.
What a man. King Ken, Sam, assist, another one.
Assist, yeah. I actually thought other than the assist, it was a quiet game for Sam. He had a lovely turn in the first half as well. From the rookery, had a great view of it. Second half, I don't think he really saw much of the ball. But another assist for King Ken. What a man. 7.5.
What a guy. Moving on to that number 6. I'm going to give it to Charlie because he did a really lovely tweet to him. Leandro Bacuna.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a 9.
Wow.
Maybe it's a bit because I was so surprised by his output and his quality in the ball. So vertical going forward, screening in the defence. When I think of Bacuna, I think he's going to get a yellow card and take someone out. But I thought he was excellent in everything he did. Really showed composure. Didn't try any worldy passes, anything. Knew his game. A 9, Leandro Bacuna.
Leandro Bacuna. And Sam's house goes wild.
Sorry about that, yeah.
So, era loser. What are you giving him? I just wanted to.
He was excellent loser. 8.5 out of 10, I think.
Sam's not doing straight numbers. They're all 0.5.
Yeah, they're all with the 0.5 today.
Ismaila Sarr, Charlie. Best game in a Watford shirt so far.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah,
I can't think of it. I think he's had moments. But I think his overall performance yesterday was for me was his best.
Yeah, and I think he capped it off by that drive at the end and the assist. So yeah, let's give him a. What did you give Loser? A 7.5.
Yeah.
And I give Bacuna a 9. So let's give Kone an 8.25.
JP Sam would like, as Charlie mentioned, he does pick up the ball quite deep. I still like him to get a little bit further forward with some of the areas he picks the ball up in. I do feel sometimes I'm thinking, Zhao, you're so good. And maybe he's just told to do that, but he does pick it up deep. I know he's one of our main creative sources, but there are times I just think, Zhao, get a little bit further forward. Sam, what are you giving him? Not to prejudge.
Yeah. I agree. I think he's had a frustrating last couple of games, João Pedro. He needs to be getting further forward. I'll give him a 7. Didn't really managed to make any clear opportunities for himself either. But still one of our main creative sparks. Still a good game for him. I'll give him a 7.
And the boy Keenan Davis, what a finish. Ex-Villa man. He's on loan from Villa. Scoring against Blues. Great celebration. And he was on it yesterday, wasn't he, Charlie? So rating-wise, what are we giving him?
Giving him an 8. We spoke about it before. One of his better performances. He needs to keep that up now because he's pivotal for us. I think he's the one striker that we know he's going to be playing. He needs to keep that level up. But we need to play to his strength, keep getting the ball into him, let him roll defenders, let him attack defenders 1v1. I'll give him an 8.
We're going to leave the subs, but Britt, good man. Over 4,000 days since his Watford debut, getting his first Watford goal. Whatever happens now with Britt, and I don't know if he'll be on this season, but that is a lovely story, and I'm really happy for him because I know he's a born and bred Watford. His family will be buzzing with that, and I know when he joins, there was a lovely piece with his dad as well, so love that. As Oja says, smash like for the guys. Thank you very much. Team score, 8, but this is the one I want from both of you. Chrissy Wilder's rating. Sam?
I'll give him an 8. For that first half as well. I'd have liked us to have a bit more control at the start of the second half, but I was happy with it.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd give an 8. I think structurally, the way he set us up was great. We looked pretty strong defensive, 5 out of possession, 3 in possession. And I'm glad that he's made changes, changed midfield to get another one in there from QPR. Personnel, he's putting Ngakia straight in. Bakuna. No one would have said it was a brave call putting him in. And before we went live, the club put out a great video of just showing the dugout cam. And his reaction for the first goal was gives you the chills. I liked it. So, again, let's try not to get carried away because we've seen this before with Slav and Rob. But if he can just get these players, keep ticking over, keep solid performances, and if we can get a bit of momentum and confidence, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it in a bit, our last 9 games, but yeah, I was impressed with what Wilder did yesterday. And I really like what he says as well in terms of sometimes we always ask, is it the players or the fans who need to get people going? Wilder's answered this twice in 2 separate interviews. It's the players' job to get the fans up for it, which I appreciate because he knows that we've gone through a bit of a shit time recently. Bit of a bad time recently, so I like what he's doing, but let's not get carried away.
Yeah, 100%. It does go a long way when the head coach recognises that. But I literally had a watch of that before we came on a Wilder cam, and I think I'll tell you what. Before we just get on to the last the last 9 games and stuff, that I don't know what it is, but you can tell he's got a point to prove, Wilder, and I really hope it works out for him because I think he's definitely got that Borough job in the back of his mind of people wrote me off after that, and he knows that if he takes us up I think for him, he knows he's done his job. If he gets us in the playoffs, he can go, look, I've come in 12 games, bang, we're in the playoffs. Even if we don't go up, he can turn around to people and go, look what I've just done in a short space of time. So I think he knows he's got a point to prove. Rightly or wrongly, I don't think he thinks that's fair. And I think that to have a manager who's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder is a nice position to be in with a team who have lacked that sort of bit of cojones for a better word, I think. So, yeah, I as you say, don't want to get carried away. The club suck you in with those sort of videos because every time I watch them, for God's sake, Bilic against Luton, again another one. You're like Slav, where we named the stand after him or something. But anyway, okay, so we're going to move on to the last 9 games of the season. You've had enough of me waffling. So we've got them here. Charlie's obviously got the points tally, right? That we need to get to confirm the playoffs. Is that, or is that is that the minimum we need?
So we need to get this points tally where in the last 20 playoffs, 11 of 20. So it's a 50% chance. So it's not guaranteed, but it's probable. So that's the point we need to finish 6 or higher.
So here we have it. Wigan, those lot up the road, Huddersfield, Coventry, Bristol City, Cardiff, Hull, Sunderland, Stoke. And we're going to then calculate the points from that. And then we'll predict. Do you know what? We might have to save the playoffs for another time, but we'll definitely do the last 9 games here and now. So how we're going to do it, we're just going to do win, draw, loss, no specific scores, and then we'll just tally it up. So Wigan at home. I'm going to go with a win. I don't think I can actually edit it, Charlie. That's the only problem. But you might have to fill it in for me. I'm going win for Wigan after yesterday as well. Bit of momentum going into that one. Wigan, obviously, bottom of the league at the moment.
I'm also going a win. Yeah, I agree. I'm also going with a win.
Right, 3 wins.
3 wins. Moving on to Luton away. Now, I actually think I'm going to go as far to say it. If we win... Oh, God, this is big. This is a big shout here. This is huge. I think if we beat Luton, we get in the playoffs.
And are we?
And I... Oh, wow, that is big. I'm going to go draw.
Sam?
I think we'll lose.
Oh!
I'm backing us. I'm backing us. We're going there and we're doing a job on them.
I have that is on record. I do think if we would beat Luton, we get playoffs. I think the momentum from that is just massive. Anyway, Huddersfield at home. We've come off, in my opinion, a draw. I'm going to go with... Oh, God, it's really tough. I'm going to go with the... I'll go with the win. We should beat Huddersfield. We should beat Huddersfield.
A win. They'll probably be nearly dead and buried around them as well. So a win.
Charlie's going W. 3 Ws. Let us know in the comment section, by the way, as well. You win, draws, losses. Let us know. Coventry away. I'll be there. I'm going to go with a draw. God, I haven't had an L yet. I don't know if I can prove myself to do it.
I think we lose at Coventry.
Oh, no. Sam's our answer to Roy Keane.
Do you? That's your job. Yeah, Coventry's going to be tough. If you look to the right, don't know if you need to zoom in, but you can see Coventry's run. I think they had a bad result yesterday. They've only got Blackburn, Borough, and us to play. Goalscorer, one of the best strikers. I think I'm going to agree with Sam. I think we'll lose that one.
Wait, you boys are going to have to go quickly because the door's just gone. Give me 2 seconds. I'll be back.
No worries. Sam, Bristol City at home.
I think we draw that. Tough game. They've been good. I think they've had an okay season. They haven't really pushed for playoffs, but they've been tough for other teams to play against.
I'm backing us to win. We'll get Jacob to do his when he's back. Cardiff at home.
I think we win that. I'm going with a win.
I'm going with who they got in charge. Sabri Lamucci. They're fighting for their lives. Yeah, I'm backing us. Hull away.
I was just on the way to the pond, lads.
Jacob, we need your prediction for Bristol City and Cardiff at home.
Bristol City at home, I think we'll lose with Pearson coming back.
What?
Could see it.
Cardiff.
Oh, God, this is horrible. I think we should beat Cardiff. I don't know. I've just something with ex-Watford managers coming back, and I always fear the worst. In fairness.
Hull away.
Oh, God.
They're pretty mid-table now.
What I would say, I have to say, you look at our running, bar, you don't want to tempt fate, but maybe bar Luton and Coventry, I think that's a winnable run of games, I have to say. I know we're just trying to predict it, but Sam, what do you reckon, Hull? I'm still torn.
I reckon we lose there. Liam Rossini has done a great job since he's come in. I just can't see us stringing a run of form together as good as yesterday was, and we've lost to places like Hull this season. So I think we'll lose that.
I think we'll draw.
Lads, have you ever seen Ted Lasso? Believe. Sunderland away on the penultimate day of the season. Sunderland are playing tonight. If they win, they go above us.
I think we'll lose that.
Ooh, Sam?
I think we lose that as well.
I think that's a really tough one.
It's gonna be noisy up there, isn't it?
It is. No, that's a tough away game, that, especially with they're floating around the playoffs.
I'm going, 3 L's. And then Stoke at home. Stoke have had a really good resurgence. They went up to Borough and got a point yesterday. and they beat Blackburn 3-2. Before the watershed, sorry.
So what Ian's got, if we play as Jacob thinks, Europe isn't out the question. Mate, look at Charlie's run. If Europe's out the question for me, we're winning the league with Charlie.
Stoke at home. Hopefully they've got nothing to play for. What are we doing?
Oh, it screams of a win.
Sam?
They won't have anything to play for, neither will we on the last day of the season. I think we'll win it.
Do you remember when we played Huddersfield at home on the last day of the season? And we get beat like 4-1, I think.
4-1, yeah.
We all thought Deeney was going to leave. Do you remember that?
I remember that, yeah. We had I think Bondi was in goal for us that day.
Yeah. Shout out to Jonathan. What a guy.
What a man.
Just trying to add up. So if anyone notices any mistakes, please let me know.
Right, 3, 4, 7, 8. Yeah, you've done mine right. Yeah.
Okay.
20.
I respect you.
Okay, so do you want me to reveal what we need? And a massive shout out to I saw this on Twitter from someone called @NotWatfordSongs who done the maths and did a really nice thread on permutations and what we need. So the score that we will help us finish in the top 6 is 74 points. We're currently on 54 points, so we need 20 more points. That is either 6 wins, 2 draws, and a defeat, or 7 wins, 7 wins, and 2 losses, which you'll probably see is what I've gone for. But looking at that, lads, Jacob.
Yeah, I might have to take back the win at Luton. We get the playoffs. Oh God!
What's your honest thing? I think. What's your honest looking at it realistically?
Give Wilder the freedom of the town if he gets his playoffs from here. If I'm honest, I think you said it. I really didn't. I didn't know it was that much. In fairness, so I think I'm going to have to take back that comment about if we beat Luton. I do think what I will say. I do think if we beat Luton, there's an element of like the momentum can really swing our way. Is what I would say, and you could go on a run. But I genuinely think Luton is last chance saloon, because if you lose that or drop any points, unless it's a last-minute draw, I really do think that takes the wind out of our sails. I don't know what you boys think, but I do think it pretty much. But obviously, barring we beat Wigan, it's then Luton away, and I think that's pretty much the determining game if we have a slimmer of a chance. But I have to say, don't clip up that last bit from me. I don't think we're making it, unfortunately.
Should we quickly run through who we think will get 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th?
Wow.
In the league. Quickly,
Go on, Sammy, your time.
Okay, I'll go 2nd place. I think Sheffield United will scrape it.
Scrape it? They're in second now? Oh, yeah, right, okay.
No, I know, but it's tight.
Sorry, my mistake.
I'm going to go 3rd, Middlesbrough. In 4th, I'm going to go them lot up the road.
Oh.
I hope everyone enjoys the pettiness on this that I haven't spelled Luton correctly.
5th, I'm going to go with Millwall.
Charlie, you're getting some good comments here, mate.
And in 6th, I'm going to go with Norwich.
Ooh.
Jacob?
I'm going to go Borough 2nd. Sheffield United 3rd. Final day job. A little bit of Ross McCormack at Watford vibes. I still haven't got over that. I'm going to go Luton 4th. I do actually think Millwall will make it. I just think they might. I think Millwall. Can you put Millwall 6th for me? And can you put 5th? Oh, do you know what? I'm going to go 5th. I might go Norwich. Yeah, I'm just going to flip those two.
Big Charlie.
What? This is phenomenal. This is phenomenal.
I'm here for the Luton crumble.
Wow.
Yeah, I think this just demonstrates, and I tweeted it after the QPR game, and the fact that we've dropped points shows how much. I tweeted after the QPR game, Chris Wilder will pull off a miracle if he gets us in his play. I didn't want this to be like a Debbie Downer thing. I just thought it was interesting to see the reality of it. As Watford fans, I just want us to keep chipping away, keep showing positivity, and even if we miss out, we've had a good last 10 games. So sorry if this has dejected anyone watching, but
it's dejected me, mate. I'm not sleeping tonight. I don't know. I just I know, Sam, you've got to shoot, mate. But like the last point I had on it was when you were and I didn't know how many points we needed. Obviously, you get like a rough idea. I was thinking if we beat Luton, you could go on a run. But even then, you're looking at. I think if we were pretty brutally honest there, I think even with Charlie's gone 21 points, you look at that and you go, we've only 2 defeats. We can't really afford to drop maybe a loss, 1 loss and a draw. Is that it? Unbelievable. Laura says time for Charlie's tablets. Charlie's off to buy a lottery ticket. Go, Charlie. Love the optimism. Oh, God, Ashley Fletcher playing against us on Saturday. But I think that's where we're going to wrap it up. Let us know if you think Watford will make the playoffs in the comment section below. It's been an absolute pleasure. Charlie Zazzera, Sam Ucko, myself. We'll be back for the next one. What a pleasure. Up the Hornets.
Up the Hornets.